Thanks so much for all of the volunteer service that we have in the Mississippi Farm Bureau. It makes our program successful. Now please turn your attention to the screen.
Farm Bureau created the Friend of Agriculture Award to honor those individuals in the Mississippi Legislature who have supported agriculture and rural citizens with their work at the state capitol. This year we have 2 awards. Our first recipient is Senator Joey Fillingane from Sumrall in Lamar County, where he grew up on a farm.
I grew up on about 95 acres out in rural Lamar County, and I think it just gives me a real appreciation of what a lot of Mississippians, how they live, where they're from, and even though I went on to go to college and become an attorney, and I really don't have any current agricultural interests going, I still love going back out to the home place and walking around next to the pond, watching the cows. We don't have chickens or pigs anymore, but we still have some cows and a lot of pine timber on the place. So it's a nice place to go home to.
Senator Fillingane was very instrumental in Farm Bureau's efforts to pass eminent domain reform and brought the bill out of committee under enormous pressure from the governor and other lobby interests.
I think it was probably the most important issue, maybe aside from the budget, this past year, and rightfully so. I mean, I think it speaks right to the heart of where most Mississippians are, that their property rights they feel very strongly about. Ever since the U.S. Supreme Court in that horrible decision back in 1995, in the Kelo decision, for the first time ever said, as a government, you can go in and take someone's private land, private property, not for a governmental use, like a road or a bridge or a schoolhouse, but you can actually take it as the government and give it to another private entity or private individual for the purposes of trying to raise more tax revenue for the state or the municipality or the county. I think there was just a revulsion all over the country to that kind of decision coming down from the U.S. Supreme Court, and many of the states ever since then have been working very hard with their legislators to try to change that and maybe restrict that to the traditional governmental uses, and that's what we were trying to do this past year. And Farm Bureau was the leading proponent of that legislation, and without their support and help, we wouldn't have gotten nearly as close as we did.
Senator Fillingane gives Farm Bureau credit for the eminent domain issue getting as far as it did.
Unlike some groups where you just got paid people, paid money to interest trying to affect outcomes of legislation, the Farm Bureau really takes a grassroots approach to what they push. It is not top down, it's very bottom up in my experience. And I think it's unique among many of the agencies and associations that try to lobby for legal changes here at the state level. But without their help, it would have not gotten anywhere near passage, even on the first go-around, much less on the override. So I think the lion's share of credit really does not belong to anyone here on the legislative level. It really belongs to the Farm Bureau group, who just really worked that issue from the beginning of session to the very last day.
Our next recipient of the Friend of Agriculture Award is Representative Johnny Stringer of Montrose in Jasper County. Representative Stringer is chairman of the House Appropriations Committee and played a major role in keeping the funding for our all-important land-grant institutions.
Like the veterinarian school, I know it's a high price for each veterinarian that finishes there, but it's also the research. The poultry industry is a large part of our state's economy, and they do a lot of research. If we ever had an outbreak of disease, we'll be glad that we have a veterinarian school. So forestry, the extension service, they were cut several years ago, and I was able to increase their budgets back to where they should be.
Another priority issue for Farm Bureau last session was the sales tax exemption for agriculture.
Of course, the bill we passed this past session put us more in line with our surrounding states. And as far as repairing equipment, it costs anywhere from $7,000 to $9,000 to repair a large tractor's transmission, and they were just carrying them to Arkansas or wherever, and that costs us jobs and plus the sales tax. Even though it's gone to 1.5%, we lost all the sales tax.
A program near and dear to Chairman Stringer's heart is the program that helps get doctors back in rural communities.
And we'll pay for a student to go through med school if they'll commit to go back to Bay Springs, Newton, any small community, and practice medicine. We'll graduate 10 doctors a year to be committed to go back to these rural communities. As you well know, it's hard to get somebody to practice in a small town. And so this was just one way that we were able to help a student go through med school and help a community to have a doctor.
Chairman Stringer realizes the importance of lobbying organizations in the legislative process.
When I first got here, I just didn't think we needed lobbyists. I thought I should be the one lobbying, you know, for my district or Farm Bureau, but you can't be everywhere, you know, in both sides of the Capitol, the Senate side and the House side. And it's been really great for the Farm Bureau to have somebody here, or have several people here to help push their policy, our policy.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome to the stage our recipients of Farm Bureau's Friend of Agriculture Award, Senator Joey Fillingane and Representative Johnny Stringer.
I've offered both of them an opportunity to address you all, so I'm going to ask them, Senator Fillingane, you want to come first?
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
I'll keep it really short because I know this isn't really what you're here for. You're here to hear from the President and others, but this is a great honor. I appreciate it. I want to say thank you especially to Mr. Wade over here for all of your work, and for Samantha Cawthorn. She was right there from the very beginning, even on the drafting side of the bill. And as we made our way through the committee process and the full Senate and House side, Chairman Stringer was a real advocate for this bill as well. So obviously, this is not a one-man show. It took lots and lots of help to get as far as we did. And just on another note, I would say Merry Christmas to everybody. I know we're in that time of year, and you know, without the good Lord's help, we wouldn't be anything really. So He's allowed us to do these things. And then I'd also just like to finish by saying Farm Bureau is just not a one-issue organization either. I really feel like the Farm Bureau organization tries to do what's in the best interest of not only their membership, but of the entire state. An example of that is, I know they've been very helpful in some of my other endeavors like voter ID reform and those kinds of things. So I appreciate their help on eminent domain, but more than that, I just appreciate their friendship and for all that you do in your areas to make our state better. Thanks.
First of all, I want a copy of this video because I think it'd make a good campaign commercial next time. Y'all did an excellent job. I tell you, didn't have much to work with, but anyway, I appreciate that. Being the last row cropper in the House, I think Bobby Moody is here. He got smart and retired, and but it's not many farmers left. But you still have people like Joey that still have roots back to the farm, and without y'all's presence at the Capitol, it would be rough on farmers, I can tell you that. But this award really means a lot to me. I was trying to think how I can compare what this award means to me, and I just thought about being one of those players from Mississippi State at the Egg Bowl. I know how they feel. Thank y'all.